Hi. So in the last video, we did our groom, and today we want to have our character clothed. So we're going to do a cloth simulation, and we're going to do um, some work with Style 3D, which is an alternative to Marvelous Designer. But first, we need to export our character, and we need a static mesh of the body and the head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my face mesh, and I'm going to convert it into a static mesh. Let's hope that works. Sometimes it doesn't. Metahuman, Kira. I'm going to make a new folder, and I'm going to name it mesh. Let's see if that worked. It seems it did. And we're going to do the same with the body. So in the mesh folder. Yeah, and we might have to rename it actually. Static mesh. Here. Body. And now we're going to combine them. Merge actors. Yeah. So we have to drag them into the scene, and then we can combine them. And this will be called SM Kira. Yeah, so we're going to export it. Asset actions, export. Actually, did I see the name is wrong? Yeah. Export to the temp folder. It already is here, so I'm going to overwrite it. And then, oh yeah, here's a pop-up. Be sure to uncheck level of detail and hit export. When that's done, we're going to download Style 3D. I will put a link in the description. There is a free version, by the way. You get a 30-day trial, which gives you all the features, I guess. But I think the free version also has quite a lot of features. So in Style 3D Atelier, you go to File, Import, FBX. You pick that FBX file that you just exported, and you just add it as an avatar. Everything is correct. Just click OK. And this will be kind of your collision object in the scene. You're going to create, or you can also import some cloth assets. There is a huge library that you can access. I think for free, all of them or most of them. So you have different categories. We are dealing with a woman here, so you have all kinds of clothes that you can download and use, as far as I know, without any restrictions. But we're going to quickly make something ourselves, a little dress or something. So what you do is you just use the pen tool to draw the shapes that you want. I'm going to do a little dress, and I'm pretty sure there are some settings for symmetry which I'm not going to use because I don't know how. But that's fine. Just wanna fool around a little bit here. Yeah, so this is a software that is probably meant to be used by designers. So this is the front part. I guess I can do some adjustments. I'm actually not sure how to do that. Edit curve. It's a little bit different than Marvelous Designer. Yeah. So you click on it and then you can do adjustments. Okay, when you're happy with everything, you can duplicate that piece, which I'm going to do because I don't want to do it again exactly the same way. Copy, paste, and here in the scene, I'm just going to rotate it 180 degrees roughly. Doesn't have to be perfect, you'll see in a moment. And I'm going to move it behind. And I'm also adding some seeps, some sewing. You just click here on segment sewing, and then you can click either here or here. You have to choose the direction. So from inside out, for example, and you connect the two edges. Sorry, that was wrong. There's two edges that are meant to be connected. So it's done quickly, really. So now all edges are assigned to each other, and you can just start the simulation by clicking here, and you will see how quickly the dress comes together. And that should work for our demonstration purposes. You can change the properties of the fabric, and you do that by clicking on the object. There is a render thickness, which is actually what you see here in the viewport. You can see that the cloth has a thickness now. So this, you have to do this actually for both parts. It makes sense to select them all, then change the render thickness. And also very important, extra collision thickness makes the cloth stand off a little bit off the skin. This can be very helpful. This only works when I'm simulating, of course. So you can see now it's floating. Yeah, don't overdo it, but a little bit of a little gap in between the skin and the cloth is actually desirable. so we have less penetrations in Unreal Engine later. And yeah, we can change the settings of the cloth itself a little bit also. Oh yeah, for example, the mesh type to triangle makes sense. I mean to quartz. I prefer that if I want to work with them. Yeah, here you can see the mesh, the geometry. So right now it's triangles. We also don't want a too high resolution because it's supposed to be a real-time thing. But of course we can have different LODs. We can change it to quartz if we want, if we prefer quartz. I'm going to export now with quartz. And let's see if there's something that we need to set. Yeah, the physical properties I think are set here when you select the fabric that is assigned to the object. And you can, for example, play with those values, and you will only see it, of course, when you have the live simulation toggle enabled. So this, for example, will reduce the bending, and the cloth will be pushed out a little bit by that, which might be useful, for example, if you want to have the simulation do the work in Unreal, and the folds should be simulated by Unreal, and you don't want the folds already in the mesh because they will also influence the simulation to some degree. So maybe something in between would be good. And stretch is also something that you can adjust here. So there are some settings, of course, that I think even can be transferred through the USD format into Unreal. I'm not sure about that. But for now, this should be it. And we're going to export that geometry now. We select all. The resolution is good here in this case, but if you want to change the resolution, you can also do that by going into the fabric. I think it was here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's the particle density. This is the resolution of your grid. Let's play with that for a second. So for example, if we double that, you see your quads get twice the size. But 20 was a good value to work with, so I'm leaving this. Export FBX and overwrite it. Uncheck everything but the patterns. So the avatar goes, select thin geometry. This is the simulation geometry. We can use the thick one for rendering, but not for simulation. And very important, merge vertices by sewing, so we don't get any holes in the mesh. And then click OK. Okay, so let's go back to Unreal. And actually we can make a garment folder here. And we're going to import the FBX we just exported. Garment FBX. Yeah, I think everything should be fine like that. So it brings in the fabric material and the garment itself. If we want, we can go to the material and change the color here. Okay. And then we get a red dress, which has the correct size. Actually, we can delete those two. And we need to turn that now into a cloth asset. Let's first check the plugins. So you need some cloth assets, cloth plugins enabled. It's first of all the Chaos Cloth, and you also need the Chaos Cloth asset and the editor. So those first three need to be activated. I guess this one is optional, but you can. I enabled it. Why not? You can see if you're going to use it or not. Okay, so those first three ones are, I think, really important, and you should turn them on before you continue. So we're going to make a cloth asset now. And we call it CA dress. And it automatically also made a data flow asset, which is used. It looks like this. And we don't need any of this, although it's really interesting to take a look at it. And for example, he has described it. You can import properties of the fabric with the USD file format. But we're going to make something a little bit simpler. Let's delete all that. We'll keep a copy and look at it later. Okay, so the first thing we're going to bring in is the static mesh we just imported. You can do it like this, or you can use the static mesh import node directly, which also has a little field to select the static mesh. Actually, let's do that. Maybe it's a little bit more. Okay, let's drag and drop it in there. Also works. So we need to transfer the skin weights first of all. So let's do that. Here you pick the skeletal mesh of your character that is supposed to wear the dress. I don't remember what the... Yeah, that's the one. FMED UNW body. So from this skeletal mesh, we will transfer the weights to the new dress. And what we also need to do is we need to add additional weights to tell the Chaos Cloth what parts of the dress should be moving and what parts shouldn't. So we want the upper part, for example, the torso part, to move with the weights that are the skinned. So it behaves exactly like the character. And the lower part of the dress should be simulated to some degree. So we're going to make a selection with the gradient tool. You select the parts that should definitely not move. And then you, with control, you select the parts that should move the most. And what it does, it will make a nice gradient in between those. You can do this in the 2D mode, which I guess is the UVs basically, or you can do it in the 3D mode, so you see it like it's been worn by the character. Yeah, and this already looks pretty good. Alternatively, you can also use the brush, where you have a paint and a smooth mode, and where you can choose the brush size and if you're painting somewhere the color, the value. This is the brightness, for example. So black means doesn't move or doesn't simulate. It moves, of course, with the skin weights, and this one will be simulated. The next thing is we're going to get simulation default values. So actually, we can look for default config. This will automatically also turn it into a simulation mesh. And if you want, you can also look at the values and play with them. So you get stuff like collision properties here, self-collisions, for example, stiffness values, for example, if you want the mesh to behave, sorry, the cloth to behave in a certain way. And then we're going to add a max distance config node. And this node basically will tell the mesh what part should be simulated. So we need to pipe in the weights from the weight map. And it's important that the input here is named exactly like the output. So, sorry, weight map. Yeah, actually, it's called max distance. Let's take that. So if that matches, it will be simulating correctly. So now we need to add a set physics asset node. And finally, a cloth asset terminal node. And then this is done basically. Under previous settings, we can bring in a character. Let's just bring in the body. And we already see it with the cloth. I'm a bit surprised that okay, the simulation is already running. That's why it's penetrating. And what we need to also do is give it a physics asset, because right now it doesn't have any collisions. We can also maybe bring in an animation. So you see the character is moving, and it's working very nicely with the upper part that we told it to use the skin weights, but the simulation is not colliding with the legs. That's because it doesn't have any collisions from the physics asset. So what we need to find now is, actually we also can pick it in here, it's easier, the matching physics asset. So the skeletal mesh is called fmet unw body. So this is the physics asset that belongs to it, and everything looks as expected. Let's play a little bit. So it's simulating nicely, walking backwards. But this part looks a bit funky. And why is that? It's because there are some collisions happening, and the physics asset looks maybe a bit weird. So I guess it's this object that makes the butt look a little bit, or the hips a little bit weird. So we can actually adjust it here if we want, by moving it, scaling it. We can make it a little bit smaller, but we might get other issues than penetrating someplace else. We can adjust the weights to get a nice gradient. Here the mesh will use the simulation. And it already looks a lot better. Still we have some penetration because the collisions, there's a little gap in the collision objects there, in those capsules that are used for collisions. Okay, but you know now how to do it. You can move the collision objects in the physics asset, maybe move the legs a little bit up. Things like that might fix the problems easily. Okay, so I guess we're done with this. We just need to attach that class asset now. Let's save it to the actor. Close that one too. So let's find the blueprint. There it is. Go to garment and select the address and drag it onto the body. There it is. Let's compile it. And not sure if I already, yes, let's see what happens. So you see, it's there, but it's floating. So let's take a look at the blueprint again. And you select it and you just bring it down. Actually, if it was here on the body, I think we can just reset the values. Yes, okay. So now it's where it's supposed to be. We compile it again. We save it. We test it. Yep. And it's not perfect, but it's simulating. And if you figure out how to get rid of this nasty edge, I'm not sure if this is actually the collision objects. I think it's the gradient. Something wrong with the gradient. Yep. So who's that guy? That's it for today. Thanks for watching and have fun.